There are no windows down here, no sunlight, no fresh air from the outside world. Once the hatch closes, ordinary life begins to disappear. Phone calls, open sky, normal time, even the simple feeling of distance. What fills your lungs is processed air, filtered and recycled through a sealed steel body. After days underwater, that air begins to carry the submarine with it. Warm metal, machine oil, food from the galley, cleaning chemicals, sweat, and the faint chemical trace of the systems keeping everyone alive. Inside this multi-billion-dollar nuclear-powered submarine, more than 100 sailors are not simply living below the ocean. They are living inside a machine designed to vanish. On a silent patrol, comfort is not the priority. Stealth is. And once the hatch closes, ordinary life begins to shrink. Chapter 1. The hatch closes. The moment the hatch closes, the outside world does not simply get quieter, it disappears. A sailor entering a submarine is not walking into a normal workplace. They are stepping into a sealed world where every inch of space has already been claimed by the mission. The passageways are narrow, the ceilings are low, pipes run overhead. Cables, valves, panels, warning labels, and equipment fill spaces where a civilian would expect empty air. Even movement has to be learned. You turn your shoulders before passing another sailor. You duck under pipes without thinking. You stop treating walking as casual because the boat was never built around casual movement. The boat does not adjust to you. You adjust to the boat. A submarine is not an underwater hotel. It is not designed to feel spacious, and it is not built to make life easy. It is a war machine. Inside that machine, human comfort is always competing with something more important: power, sensors, navigation, weapons, life support, emergency systems. A pipe may matter more than personal space. A cable may matter more than privacy. A backup system may sit untouched for an entire patrol until the one moment when it becomes the difference between control and disaster. The tightness of the boat is not an accidental inconvenience. It is mission design. This is not just a story about cramped racks, crowded passageways, artificial light, or meals eaten in shifts. Those details matter because they reveal something larger. Every part of normal life has been compressed to serve the patrol. Space that might have gone to comfort is given to the reactor. Sonar systems, navigation equipment, pumps, valves, cables, weapons, and life support systems that allow the boat to remain alive beneath the ocean. But size is not always the first thing a sailor notices. Sometimes it is the air. The air down here does not come through an open window, and it does not come from the sky. It is filtered, recycled, and pushed through the submarine again and again. Over time, that air begins to absorb the life of the boat itself. Warm metal, machine oil, food, cleaning chemicals, human sweat, and the quiet smell of the systems keeping everyone alive. It gets into clothing. It gets into skin. After a while, it becomes part of the patrol. That smell is not just unpleasant background. It is a reminder that this place was not designed around comfort. It was designed around survival. Even sleep belongs to the mission. On some crowded boats, especially for junior sailors or sailors still earning their qualifications, a rack may not feel completely private. The Navy has a term for this kind of arrangement: hot racking. One sailor gets up for watch, another comes off duty. Almost immediately, the same narrow bunk is used again. Sometimes the mattress has not even had time to cool. To someone on land, that sounds extreme. Inside a submarine, it follows the logic of the boat. There is only so much room, and every inch has already been assigned to something the vessel needs. A system, a pipe, a cable, a sensor, a weapon, or a backup component waiting for the one day it may matter. The hardship is not random. The lack of privacy is not simply poor design. The tight spaces are the price of building a vessel that can stay submerged, stay hidden, keep listening, and operate without depending on the outside world. A sailor gives up space so the submarine can gain endurance. They give up privacy so the boat can carry the systems it needs. They give up normal comfort so the mission can continue beneath the ocean. Inside a submarine, daily life is never separate from the patrol. It is part of it. But cramped space is only the first pressure. The deeper pressure is silence. Chapter 2. Silence is the mission. Inside a submarine, silence is not just a habit, it is survival. On land, military forces can use satellites, drones, radar, cameras, and human eyes to see what is coming. Beneath the ocean, the battlefield changes. Down here, sound becomes vision. A simple pump, a loose tool dropped at the wrong moment, a hatch secured too hard, or a faint vibration moving through the hull can become an acoustic clue. In undersea warfare, a clue can become a contact can become a track, and a track can become a threat. A submarine crew does not treat sound as background. Sound is information. Sound is risk. Sound is identity. Every submarine has what naval crews call an acoustic signature, a kind of sound fingerprint shaped by machinery, cooling systems, flow noise, propulsion, and tiny vibrations moving through the hull. To the average listener, those differences would be almost impossible to separate. To a trained sonar team, small changes can matter. A submarine is not only trying to be quiet, it is trying not to become recognizable. That changes daily life. A sailor does not slam a door, they secure it. They do not move carelessly through a passageway, they move with the boat. Loose objects are tied down, equipment is checked, machinery is maintained, and orders are kept short, because unnecessary noise can travel farther than people think. The boat itself has to be managed with the same discipline. A nuclear-powered attack submarine may have the endurance to cross oceans, but that does not mean it can run fast whenever it wants. Speed creates noise. At higher speeds, a propeller or propulsor can create cavitation, tiny bubbles forming and collapsing underwater, producing sound a submarine cannot afford to give away. Speed is not always strength. Sometimes speed is exposure. The smarter move may be to slow down, listen, and let the ocean do part of the hiding. The strange part is that the submarine is never truly silent to the people inside it. There is always a hum, ventilation, pumps, electronics, and the low mechanical breathing of the boat. To the crew, the submarine feels alive. It moves air, it circulates water, it pushes power through cables, and it keeps pressure, temperature, oxygen, and carbon dioxide under control. The machine is always working. But to the ocean outside, every unnecessary sound must be controlled. Inside, the sailors hear the boat. Outside, the enemy must not. This is where daily life becomes part of the stealth system. Walking becomes discipline. Maintenance becomes stealth. Clean movement becomes survival. Even waiting becomes active, because noise does not stay in the room where it begins. On a submarine, sound travels through metal, machinery, and water. The ocean is an enormous listening space. That is why the sonar team becomes one of the most important parts of the boat. There are no windows, no horizon, and no way to look outside and see what is coming. So the submarine listens. A sonar operator sits in the dark, wearing headphones, watching a screen, trying to separate meaning from noise. The ocean is never empty. There may be merchant traffic, distant engines, water moving across the hull, biological sounds, and background interference. Buried inside all of that may be something different, something too steady, too mechanical, too clean. Maybe it is nothing. Maybe it is a surface ship far away. Or maybe it is another submarine. That possibility changes the mood of the boat without anyone needing to shout. A report is made. The watch team listens harder. The submarine may slow its rhythm. Every unnecessary movement becomes a risk, because in this world, hearing first is power, and being heard first is danger. Even listening has limits. Traditionally, submarines have had to worry about the baffles, the noisy blind area behind the boat, where its own propulsion noise can make it harder to hear what might be following. Older submarine tactics included clearing the baffles, changing course to check the area behind the vessel. The point is simple. Even a hidden machine can have blind spots. Even a submarine can be hunted. The undersea world is tense because no one sees everything. No one knows everything. Everyone is building a picture from fragments, bearing lines, sound patterns, movement, silence, and uncertainty. A submarine does not always win by firing first. Sometimes it wins by not being found, by staying slow, staying quiet, listening more than it speaks, and remaining close enough to matter while hidden enough to survive. A silent patrol is not silent because nothing is happening. It is silent because everything is being controlled. The movement, the machinery, the crew, the sound, and even the waiting. In undersea warfare, patience is not passive. Patience is a weapon, and that patience turns silence into strategic pressure. Chapter 3. The patrol that holds a crisis in place. A silent patrol is not just a submarine moving through the ocean. It is not simply a route on a map or a crew spending weeks beneath the surface. A silent patrol is a military message delivered without a broadcast, without a public warning, without a visible formation, and without the enemy knowing exactly where it came from. A carrier strike group creates pressure by being seen. You can see the flight deck, the escort ships, the aircraft, the radar masts, and the flag. It tells the world very clearly, "Look what I can bring." A submarine sends a different message. You do not know where I already am. When a United States nuclear-powered attack submarine leaves port, it is not simply going out to patrol empty water. It is entering a world where its location becomes part of the weapon. The enemy does not know where it is, what it can hear, whether it is tracking a surface ship, listening near a choke point, watching the movement of another submarine, or waiting close enough to matter if a crisis begins. This is how a silent patrol creates pressure without needing to appear. For this episode, think of a Virginia-class fast attack submarine, or even the older Los Angeles-class boats that formed the backbone of America's attack submarine force for decades. Nuclear-powered does not automatically mean nuclear-armed. In this case, the focus is an attack submarine, powered by a reactor, but built primarily to hunt, listen, track, gather intelligence, support special operations, and strike if ordered. This is the world of the SSN, a fast attack submarine designed to operate where a surface ship may be too visible or too vulnerable. A Virginia-class boat can hunt enemy submarines, follow surface ships, collect intelligence, support special operations, carry Tomahawk cruise missiles for land attack missions, operate with unmanned underwater systems, or simply sit in a critical area and listen. Sometimes, listening is enough. In a crisis, the enemy does not only react to what they can see, they react to what they cannot rule out. Is there a United States submarine nearby? Can it hear our ships? Can it track our submarines? If we move through this strait, is it already waiting? If we fire first, can it survive long enough to fire back? Those questions matter. They slow decisions, they force caution, and they make commanders spend time, fuel, aircraft, sensors, and attention trying to find something that may not even be there anymore. This is how a submarine creates strategic pressure. Not by showing itself, but by making the other side behave as if it might be there. Stealth is more than hiding. Stealth changes decision-making. A visible ship can be counted, tracked, targeted, and plotted on a map. A hidden submarine creates doubt, and doubt can be powerful. It can make an adversary hesitate before sending ships into open water. It can make them protect assets they wanted to move freely. It can force them to search wide areas with maritime patrol aircraft, surface ships, towed arrays, undersea sensors, and helicopters. Every moment spent searching is a moment they are not acting with confidence. This is deterrence at the undersea level. Not always loud, not always visible, but constant. That is why places like the GIUK Gap, the Norwegian Sea, the Luzon Strait, and the approaches to the Western Pacific matter so much in undersea warfare. These are not just lines on a map. They are routes, barriers, listening zones, and pressure points where geography, ocean physics, and military strategy meet. The ocean itself becomes part of the fight. The ocean is not a bathtub. It is layered. Temperature changes with depth. Pressure changes. Salinity changes. Sound does not always travel in a clean, straight line. It bends. It reflects. It fades. And sometimes it hides. Chapter 4. The Human Machine. A submarine is not just steel. It is not just a reactor, sonar screens, weapons, pumps, valves, and cables. It is a human-machine system, and every sailor inside it has to become part of that system. One sailor listens on sonar, another watches depth, one team monitors propulsion, another checks the electrical systems, another keeps the air breathable, others prepare food, inspect equipment, and maintain systems most people will never see. From the outside, these sound like separate jobs. Inside a submarine, nothing is truly separate. Power connects to propulsion. Propulsion connects to noise. Noise connects to stealth. Stealth connects to survival. And survival connects to every person on board. There is no such thing as an unimportant sailor down here. A small mistake does not always stay small. A loose object can become noise. A missed check can become a warning light. A delayed response can put pressure on the entire watch team. A problem in one compartment can quickly become everyone's problem. Life inside a sealed war machine is built around one reality. You do not just do your job, you protect the whole boat. For new sailors, that lesson begins almost immediately. A young sailor coming aboard does not simply learn where to sleep. They do not simply learn where to eat. And they do not simply learn when to stand watch. They have to learn how the submarine lives. Where the valves are, where the escape routes are, what to do if there is fire, what to do if there is flooding, what to do if an alarm sounds while they are half asleep, and what to do if the sailor beside them needs help before anyone else can get there. Beneath the ocean, there is no time for confusion. There is no time to search for someone who knows. There is no time to ask basic questions when seconds matter. This is why qualification matters so much in submarine culture. A sailor is not just proving they can perform one task. They are proving they understand enough of the boat to be trusted inside it, trusted when things are normal, and trusted when they are not. That trust is what allows more than 100 people to live in a place where privacy is limited, pressure is constant, and mistakes can carry real consequences. Most days, though, do not feel like a movie. They are made of routine. Watch, maintenance, meals, sleep, another watch, another checklist, another narrow passageway, another quiet order. Because there is no sunrise inside the boat, time starts to feel different. There is no morning light through a window, no sunset telling the body the day is ending, no open sky, no fresh breeze. Time comes from the watch bill, the next meal, the next order, and the rhythm of the boat. Sometimes it comes from the color of the light. At certain moments, the submarine may be rigged for red. The bright white light gives way to a dim red glow. The passageways seem narrower, faces look sharper, the control room becomes quieter. It does not always mean combat, but it does change the state of the boat. More controlled, more careful, more aware. Even lighting becomes part of operating discipline. Submarine life turns ordinary things into mission tools. Walking becomes discipline. Sleeping becomes recovery for the next watch. Eating becomes fuel for the next shift. Silence becomes protection. Trust becomes survival. There is also another kind of compartmentalization happening below the surface. The submarine is physically divided into compartments. Those compartments help control damage, they help contain flooding, and they help keep one problem from becoming a total loss. The sailor has to do something similar inside the mind. Family, fear, exhaustion, homesickness, problems waiting back on shore. All of it has to be sealed off long enough for attention to stay inside the mission. This does not mean sailors stop feeling. It means they learn where to put those feelings. They keep working while tired. They stay calm while worried. They answer clearly when the body wants rest. And they focus on the numbers, sounds, gauges, orders, and checklists in front of them. That is not emotional coldness. It is military survival. Imagine a young sailor on a first patrol. At first, the hardest part seems obvious. The tight rack, the recycled air, the narrow passageways, the lack of sunlight. After a few weeks, the truth becomes clearer. The hardest part is not the space, it is the responsibility. They are not just living inside the submarine, they are being absorbed into it. A boat cannot afford passengers, it needs crew. People who can wake from a dead sleep and know where to go. People who can hear an alarm and move without panic. People who can give short answers when everyone else needs clarity. People who understand that their discipline protects everyone around them. That is why a submarine crew feels different from almost any other workplace on Earth. They are not just co-workers, they are the human part of a hidden weapons system. The crew is not just inside the submarine, the crew is part of the submarine, and that is what gives the weapons their real weight. Chapter 5. Weapons are not the story, the human cost is. Weapons make a submarine dangerous, but weapons are not the real story here. Inside a submarine, the weapons are only part of the weight every sailor carries. A Mark 48 torpedo is not just a weapon sitting in a tube. It has to be stored, maintained, checked, and handled by people who understand that one mistake can matter. A Tomahawk cruise missile is not just a line in a weapons list. It represents the ability to strike from a place the enemy may never see coming. Sonar is not just equipment. It is the boat's sense of the outside world. Unmanned underwater systems are not just future technology. They extend the submarine's reach into places where sending people may be too risky or too difficult. But before any of those systems matter, people have to make the submarine ready. Equipment must be inspected, systems must be maintained, orders must be verified, and every step must be checked by people who understand the consequences of being wrong. A submarine is powerful because of what it carries, but it is usable because of the people disciplined enough to control it. In movies, war often looks simple: a dramatic alarm, a red button, a commander staring into the camera, one final order, and then launch. Real submarine operations are not built around drama. They are built around procedure, authentication, cross-checks, clear orders, clear responses, no guessing, no improvising, no one acting alone. That is the difference between a weapon and a military system. A weapon can destroy, but a system has to decide. Inside a submarine, that decision is never casual. Every step is designed to slow panic down, to force clarity, and to make sure the crew is not reacting emotionally, but professionally. Beneath the ocean, emotion can be dangerous. Confusion can be dangerous. Noise can be dangerous. Speed without control can be dangerous. Procedure can feel almost ruthless. But that ruthlessness has a purpose. In an emergency, creativity is not always the first instinct. Procedure is. Procedure keeps fear from becoming action before judgment catches up. It gives the crew something solid when the body wants to panic. It turns chaos into sequence. Problem, report, verify, respond, control. On a submarine, discipline is not blind obedience. Discipline is the life raft. The strongest action a submarine can take is not always firing. Sometimes, the strongest action is waiting, slowing down, listening, staying hidden, not transmitting, not revealing, and not letting the other side know the submarine was ever there. This is the reality of undersea warfare. The submarine may carry torpedoes, cruise missiles, sonar systems, and unmanned underwater vehicles, but the most important thing it carries is still discipline. Discipline to stay quiet, to wait, to follow procedure, and to live for weeks inside a sealed steel world while still doing the small things correctly, again and again. And this is where the human cost begins. To make the submarine disappear from the enemy, the crew has to disappear from normal life. A patrol cuts them away from family problems, birthdays, bad news, ordinary conversations, and the small routines people on land barely notice until they are gone. That separation is not accidental. It is part of the mission. A submarine remains hidden because the people inside it accept being unreachable. Life on land keeps moving without them. Birthdays happen, holidays pass, children grow, families wait. Problems at home do not stop just because the boat is underwater. But a sailor cannot simply step away. They cannot leave the boat. They cannot break silence because they feel alone. And they cannot bring the outside world with them. The mission depends on separation. The submarine must stay hidden, and the people inside it must accept distance. Distance from land, distance from family, distance from ordinary time, distance from the version of themselves that existed before the hatch closed. By the end of a patrol, the submarine has not only moved through the ocean, it has changed the people inside it. They have slept in air that never came from the sky. They have walked through narrow passageways under dim red light. They have shared space so tightly that sometimes even a bed belongs more to the watch schedule than to the individual. They have eaten under artificial light. They have listened to machinery breathe through the hull. And they have waited through hours where nothing happened, while still treating every hour like it mattered. That is the bargain. The ocean hides the submarine. The reactor gives it endurance. The weapons give it power. But the crew gives it discipline. on a silent patrol, that discipline turns a multi-billion-dollar machine into one of the most dangerous forces beneath the sea, because a submarine can only disappear when the people inside it accept the cost of disappearing with it.